Good morning, grade 12s. This is an assembly that I would normally do with you in person, but due to COVID, I'm going to try to get you the information as best I can through this PowerPoint. And once you've watched the video, if you have any questions, feel free to come down to guidance or send me an email, and Mrs. Capretta and myself will answer your questions. First thing you need to know is something called the UAC and OCAS process. UAC stands for the Ontario University's Application Center, and OCAS is the Ontario College's Application Service. We are lucky in the province of Ontario. When you apply to your universities in Ontario and your colleges in Ontario, you do not need to apply to each separately or pay a fee, an application fee separately for each either. You apply to the center, you pay that one-time fee, and they will then send your marks and all your biographical information to the particular universities and colleges that you've applied to. So this presentation will be based on what we know so far, in knowing also that things may change. If you go to our Lakeshore Catholic website, there will be a tab called Student Services. On that tab, I try to list as much information as I possibly can as it comes up for graduation, university timelines, college timelines, etc., OSAP applications. So that's one that you want to pay particular attention to. Right now, there's some old data from last year. As soon as I get the updated data, that's where I will put it, and you can look at that. And if you look at this next slide, it'll show you things about graduation, exit plans, which, by the way, if you haven't done it, you need to sign up for that grade 12 Google Classroom. Do your exit plan, and then we will double check to make sure you have everything for graduation. You will also list some programs for colleges, universities that you might be interested in, or apprenticeship programs that you might be interested in, and we will see that you have the requirements. If you ever, though, need to come down to guidance to double check, please do so. First thing you need to know, any liaison visit where a university or college would normally come to the school and you would sign out to go and listen to their presentation, that will no longer occur because of COVID. So if you go to the Google Classroom, you will see virtual liaison visits listed there, so you can sign up for Mohawk or Niagara College or Brock University, and that's how they will impart information for the upcoming school year. Remember, if you are university bound, you need at least 6 grade 12 4U or 4M credits, including your required courses. If a course is recommended, you do not need it to apply, but you should have it in order to have a foundation for the program. If you are college bound, you must have at least an ENG 4C to apply to most programs. Want to give you a little idea about the difference between college, university, and apprenticeships. For example, college usually runs from 1 to 4 years. If you do a 1 year, you get a certificate. 2 years, likely a diploma. 3 years, likely a diploma, or a degree that you can do in 4 years at the college level. At university, you go normally for 3 years, which is a general degree, or 4 years for an honors degree. And an apprenticeship program is based on the hours that you complete and the certification that you obtain and the exam that you will eventually write to get your ticket in that particular sector. The costs between the three are also very different. If you're moving away from home and going to college, it's anywhere between $11,000 to $15,000 per year. University, depending on the program, at least starts at $17,000 per year. Remember, if it's a specialized program such as business at Queen's University, that tuition alone might be $30,000. So each university does have slightly different numbers in cost depending on the program. In terms of an apprenticeship program, the employer pays you usually 40 to 60% depending on the trade, and the government also helps with the schooling and to cover the rest of your costs as well. When you go off to college, you study a skill set for a particular career. So you take practical nursing, and then you want to be a nurse. You take paramedics because you want to be a paramedic. University, you study a subject area. So you don't study sociology for 4 years and then become a sociologist. You would need, after your normal 4 years of an honors degree, to take something after in order to get a skill set. So the question really for you should be is not whether you go to university or college, but which one you will do first, because you'll find you'll probably need both for practical and theoretical skills. And of course, for an apprenticeship, your studies is a trade. Admission requirements. If going to college, you will have required and recommended courses. Normally, they don't give overall averages for a college program unless it's highly competitive. There's something called the HOAE, which is the Health Occupation Aptitude Exam. If you're getting into certain programs like practical nursing, occupational therapy, paramedic, you might have to write this exam. You will get information about the exam the moment you apply. You will apply for it in terms of registration online and pay a $50 fee. They will use partly how you do on that exam and your marks in high school to determine whether you get into that program because it's highly competitive. Mrs. Pinelli normally helps out if you want any additional information on how to be successful with the HOAE exam. In university, you will have a list of required and recommended courses. Remember, you cannot apply unless you have 6 4U or 4M credits with the required courses. Apprenticeship program. For any apprenticeship, usually a unionized trade, you will need at least a grade 12 math and a grade 12 science. A lot of kids seem to forget about this, but later on you might have to go back and go online and take that math and science if you do not take it in high school, so your best bet is to take it now. In terms of programming, when you go to college, it pretty much tells you each semester what courses you're taking, and you're just choosing a time slot. At university, you will have free range of developing your timetable. You will see a certain class like sociology, you might see it offered 5 times, one on Monday, one on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You pick the one that fits your schedule, you pick the lab that fits your schedule, and you create your timetable. So they're very different, college and universities, in terms of the timetable. And with apprenticeships, what you really need to know is about 95% of what you're doing is on the job site, and the remainder is in a classroom. So, review again. Secondary is considered high school. Post-secondary is after high school. You will either decide to go to college, university, an apprenticeship program, the world of work, or take a gap year. Remember, at college you have the opportunity to do certificates for 1 year, diplomas for 2 or 3, degrees for 3 or 4 years, or joint programs that are 4 years. At university, normally a general degree will be 3 years in length. Not all universities offer 3-year programs, so you would have to check their website for that particular program. The honors degree is a 4-year program, and you will study in a particular field of study. Bachelor of Arts might be sociology, psychology, political science, women's studies. Study science, which could be anything from biomedical to physics. Humanities, which could be histories, English, classics. And those are the different avenues that you will have at university. Pathways to an apprenticeship. Basically, there's 2 routes to get an apprenticeship. One, you take co-op while you're in high school. The employer wants to take you on as an apprentice, and the 2 of you will sign a contract, and they will determine then the college that you go to complete your training. And the rest of the time you'll be with that employer on the job site. But what if you don't take co-op, and what if you don't have an employer? Then your best bet is also to apply to college for either a 1, 2, or 3-year program similar to the trade that you want to get into. So for example, electrical techniques, electrical technician, or electrical technology, a 1, 2, or 3-year program. Then you can go to the employer and say, I have high school, and I also have some college training. Would you be willing to take me on as an apprentice? If they decide yes, then you sign the contract. So it's just 2 different pathways to get to the same end result. The University Fair, which is normally all Ontario universities all in one spot in Toronto, this year has been canceled. We are still waiting to see if they will do a university fair that's virtual, and as soon as I get more information, I will post it on the Google Classroom. The colleges, meaning the Ontario colleges, do have a fair, a virtual one set up on November the 4th and 5th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you can go to the website that is posted here to make sure you sign up and take a look at the various colleges and what they have to offer you in terms of programming. Information about timelines. In early October, I will send your information to the colleges and universities, and that will be your biographical information. That allows you at least to have an application ready to apply. By late November, I will be sending marks for the 2 classes that you are now taking in Term 1 and Term 2. By February, I should have your Term 3 and 4 marks that will be sent off to the schools. And then when we get into second semester, in April and May, I will send another transmission of marks. And then in July, your final 2 Term 3 and 4 marks. It's based on midterm marks in semester 2 that you will get an offer, but every university or college can always rescind an offer, which means this. If you get an offer and all of a sudden you tank your grade 12 year and you do not do well, they can take that offer away. So at the point at which they give you admission offers, it is good, but you must still complete your graduation requirements to keep that offer alive. If you are taking summer school courses, it's up to you in August to send those marks to the particular university or college if you're still waiting for entrance. Likely you will be applying to your Ontario colleges in the month of October as soon as that application cycle and application is ready. I will be posting information on that as soon as it happens. At that point, what you will need basically is a Visa card to pay for the application, which is $95, and you'll need to know your OEN number. You can always come down to guidance to get that OEN number, or look on any report card that you have because your number will be there. The due date to apply to universities is January 15th. Right now, if it's similar to last year, you will get 3 choices on that application for $150. Every additional choice is $50. You will also need a credit card so that they process your application right away. If you wait for money orders or sometimes online banking, it doesn't do your application right away in terms of processing, okay? This year, because of COVID, your PIN numbers, which are your confidential numbers to start your application process, will be mailed to your house. So the school will not be receiving PIN numbers. You will be the one receiving them. It's very important when you get your PIN number, which will be 3 numbers, school number, student number, and PIN number, that you keep it in a safe place and also take a picture of it so that if you're coming down to see me in guidance, I have the information to get into your application. February 1st is the application deadline for college applications, and you will get 1 to 5 choices, and that will cost you $95. At university, you can apply to as many universities as you want, but you're going to be paying for them. For the college application, you get no more than 5 choices. If you really like a particular college, such as Niagara College, you could choose 3 different programs, and that will take up 3 spots on your application. May the 1st is the deadline that you will hear back from your colleges to whether you were accepted, waitlisted, or you did not get into your program. May the 27th is the deadline for universities to give you a response of whether you did receive admission or not. June 1st is likely the date that UAC will ask for some financial commitment. So it might be paying a residence deposit of some sort, and they'll also give you a list of application and tuition and residence fees. By usually the 1st or 2nd week of June, colleges will ask for a $500 deposit. That deposit is to keep your spot, okay? It's not something you can wait for OCAS to give you the money. You must save now and have that $500 in order to say that you're serious and you are going to college and you are going into that program. So that's the $500 commitment. Changing an accepted offer. Once you have an offer, if you decide that you are going to accept it and later decide that you do not want that offer, The moment you get rid of that offer, it will no longer be valid for you, so you cannot go back to the offer. So please make sure when accepting an offer to talk to a guidance counselor or come down to guidance so we can make sure that you're taking the right steps to accept an offer. And all that will be done online. What if you're refused admission? Well, there's a few things you can do. We can call this information or admissions hotline, and they can give us ideas of what programs are still open. We can delete some choices, put in some new choices, or we can decide to take a gap year and apply the following year. Ontario colleges will either show you that a program is open, waitlisted, or closed. If it's closed, it was highly competitive and you did not get in. If it's waitlisted, sometimes you can call the college and ask where you are in the wait list, and that will determine whether you want to accept another college in the meantime before you hear back from the school you've been waitlisted on. Remember, you will need to visit guidance to get your OEN number if you do not have it or you do not have a recent report card. UAC PIN numbers to apply to Ontario universities will be mailed directly to you. Email addresses must be as recent as they can be or current as they can be for your applications, because that's the main way that they will communicate with you. If you're serious about applying to colleges and universities, even though the dates are January 15th and February 1st, you should be applying before Christmas, so you need not worry about anything else and have your application done and paid for. If you do an application without payment, it's called a debt application, and no one will look at that application. So you must pay at the time in which you are doing the application. Every school will then start to email you and ask you to set up an account at their school. That's also imperative that you do that as well, because that's how they want to communicate to you open houses, when you got to register for classes, etc. What I want to tell you about the applications is when you're applying to colleges, you must rank your colleges and the program. So if you really want Mohawk, Mohawk needs to be first on your application, followed by Niagara. So you will be ranking. Even though universities say they don't look at the ranking, I would say you should rank your choices there as well, because it's good for scholarship purposes. So if you really want Waterloo to be first on your application, put it first on your application. Non-refundable application fees. Once you pay for your UAC and your OCAS application and you decide that you are not returning or not going off, they get to keep that fee, because that's what non-refundable means. So you would have lost the 95 or the 150 if you decide to take a gap year after you apply. Remember, they will only process your application once you pay. Always print off your application after you've completed it online and keep a copy and a file of all your information. So you should have your username, your password, and the actual application. Any emails they sent you, any emails that have confirmation numbers should be kept. You will get emails later on in the year to verify your grades, so you will go back on that site to make sure there's no mistakes by guidance in terms of your marks. Early responses, or what we call early offers of admission, is not something that I would worry about. We are in a year that there's so much flux and so much change. Whether you get in and find out in March or whether you find out in May is really not going to matter, as long as you meet all the deadlines for other applications such as residence and residence fees and potentially OSAP. Remember, all offers are conditional, and they're conditional on that you do graduate and that your marks don't dip too low. Alternate offers. Some colleges and some universities will give you alternate offers if you did not get into the first program that you chose. Other schools will not. For example, McMaster does not give alternate offers of admission. So if you really want MAC and you want to apply to biomedical engineering, you want to put a second choice down for MAC, because they will not consider you for anything else. Other schools will, such as the University of Guelph. If you don't get into, let's say, engineering, they might offer you an alternate offer to general sciences. Okay, so it's important and imperative that you go to their websites to look at alternate offers as well. The websites that I've attached here are quite helpful. My suggestion at this point is you need to start doing your research. So the Ontario Colleges site, you can pick any program, type the program in, and it will spit out every college that has that program. You can look then at the length of the program, whether it has only a start date of September or September and January and May, which might help with your planning purposes as well. The electronic information site is the one where you can look at Ontario universities, and uac.on.ca is the application site where we will apply. Then there's information about the fairs in Ontario, apprenticeship sites that you should be looking at, and the other one that I want you to pay particular attention to is the www.ontransfer.ca. So if you're ever thinking about doing university first, then transferring to college, or college then moving to university, this site will give you a good indication of what credits they will transfer over in order for you to complete your degree or diploma. And in some cases you can complete them at the same time, but this is the transfer one where you finish one and complete the other after. So check the Google Classroom for reminders and our guidance whiteboard. If you're ever unsure, you need to come down and see a counselor. In terms of scholarships, some of you have already come down to talk about scholarships. They really don't happen until second semester. And again, everything will happen on that Google Classroom. I will send out reminders when a particular application is due, and I will send out the criteria so you will know whether you need to see us to pick up an application or just go online to apply. Most of the data on a university or college website is their most up-to-date data. So anything in print is only as good as the day they print it, but the website will keep most up-to-date with any changes. Anytime you make a change to your application, you should receive a confirmation number. It's important that you take a picture of that confirmation number or print it off for your files. And please don't forget, college students, that you will need a $500 deposit to keep your spot, usually the first or second week of June. In conclusion, be prepared, do your research, consider a gap year if needed, and if you have any questions, come down to see myself or Mrs. Capretta, or email us or post it on the grade 12 classroom. Thank you.